Get up off of that thing thing. Get up off of that thing thing. Get up off of that thing. Get up off of that thing. And try to believe that thing, y'all. So get up, get up, get up off of that thing. Get up off of that thing. And try to believe that pressure. Get up, get up, get up off of that thing thing. Get up off of that thing thing. Try to believe that pressure. Yeah!
My name is Logan Hahn, and I guess for most of my life, I previously identified as a student. And if you ask me what my identity was, it would be just a person learning in school. When I went into college, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to study, but I just did business because my dad recommended it to me, and I just really wanted to figure out, just how operations works in various companies. I don't think it was ever really a passion of mine. I think going into the end of college, I learned a lot about game development and how that works, and my previous love for games. I started playing games when I was maybe about 7 years old, and I've always played games ever since. I started with kid-friendly games from Nintendo, and I still even play those today, and then I moved on to more mature games like Call of Duty and competitive games. So I think a lot of my life I identified with more of, stay inside culture, just a night out, playing games, and really enjoying myself indoors. So I think for a while I thought I was an extrovert, but I think the longer I live my life, I think I'm more of an introvert because I love talking to people. I really enjoy seeing what others do with their lives and how they express themselves. So it was weird though too, because I think I've been a person who's lived both worlds of being a person who can relate to people who don't go out much and are inside playing games and their whole world is their computer, and then also relate to people who love to go out and party, who drink. Even though myself, I'm not a partier, I can change kind of just how I operate around different people. But if I had to pick one core identity, I'd say it is a person who values a good one-on-one conversation, a person who's very selective with who he talks to, because I don't really find the need to go out and make myself the talk of the town, or really, develop some sort of status. I just want, to live a life where I can have, like a quiet night out with friends. If I really want to, can go on a trip every once in a while. But I'm just a person who really enjoys, getting home from work or from school, whatever, and just chilling on the couch and playing some games or watching some TV. And I think even though I am, I think, an extrovert at heart, I would definitely relate a lot of my enjoyment of life to games and learning new things.
I feel like I'm gonna fucking clap my fingers.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Wait. I need my phone.
Are you just gonna ask me the questions like last time?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if my answers have changed, right?
No. Okay. Okay. What was your earliest experience with video games?
My earliest experience with video games was definitely the Nintendo games. When I was growing up, Nintendo was definitely my number one game that I played, and I do have a vivid memory of I had this kind of media room in my house, and I would always be in there just playing games or doing whatever. And my parents actually organized like a play date for me. This was maybe when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. And they organized a play date for me, and the friend came over and he's like, "Oh, hi, now my name is blah blah blah, like so nice to meet you." And I was just playing Mario Kart in there, and he was just trying to talk to me over and over again, and I just wouldn't have it because I was literally just just so invested in Mario Kart and having so much fun. I remember like 7 or 8, I was just like, just go away. And he just literally went home without even us having a play day. So it was probably one of those signs where I was enjoying games maybe like a little bit too much.
Yeah. What is the importance of video games in our society?
Video games are, I think, the best form of like art media and just being able to see somebody else's vision and play through it. I think video games give us a way to play and solve problems and understand things in a gamified environment. I think movies and other art mediums like paintings or really just anything else has this sort of, you get to experience and you get to see other people's work, but you don't really get put into an environment. It's always a passive thing, whereas games have more of an active stance. You can always learn something or solve a problem, or you feel much more invested in games. And I think games being able to reach out and touch people more than other mediums gives it a really powerful place in shaping really anyone's worldview.
What is your biggest fear as a game developer?
My biggest fear as a game developer is probably, I think initially where my mind goes to is that like nobody wants to play the games that I want to make. But then again, I feel like if I'm true to what I want to make and I really enjoy making what I make and it's dear to my heart, I think people will play it. But I think the biggest fear I have is that games just go too much in a place of monetization. I think as much as developing and making games, as much on the side of having fun and creating other enjoyable experiences for games, I think of a lot of big industry games and AAA games also lean on the side of making money. And I think that sort of push for games is generally a bad thing. I think I understand that games need to make money, but if the game is sacrificing features or the love is not being shown just because it's easier to make money or putting something behind a paywall, because not everybody can afford like a full console or a bunch of games. So my fear is that it gets too much monetization.
Where do you feel the current state of video games are right now?
The current state of video games right now are actually the best it's ever been, even with the monetization fears. You have infinite access. As long as you can afford and you save up for a PC or you can get like a nice computer, you can pretty much play any game that's ever existed. There's fans of games that are 20 plus years old that are only for certain consoles, but you can play those in emulators. Developers have more and more tools to make indie games and make the games you want to experience. I think the collective art around games is just so much more accessible now. There's like infinite amounts of YouTube videos and tutorials on how to do stuff. So I think games are actually the best it's ever been because there are AAA games still coming out that are really good. Even single player games, even some multiplayer games are really good. And there's just so many indie games. You have access to all the consoles' previous games on computers where I feel like gaming has been the best it's ever been now because it's the most accessible.
In your art form, how will you innovate a new future in the landscape of video games?
The number one thing I feel like for games now, and this has kind of come at like a negative cost of just like how society is moving forward, where people always say like, oh, people's attention spans are getting shorter, it's harder to grab attentions. It's kind of true though, where it's just like there's so much stuff, there's so much good media out there. I think the number one thing though is just making games accessible and really easy to use. So my dream would be having a game to where it's just integrated into those things, where you can access the game from like your phone, you can access it on your computer. It's really easy to pull up. There's not like, if you want to add maybe custom elements to it, such as mods, it's super easy to do. I think the more accessibility and the more integration that there is within a game, I think the more people have a chance of falling in love with it, talking about their friends to it, and having something to do. And just being able to hop on your computer, load it up, and everybody want to play that game, and it just being really designing a game that is not only fun to play, but also really easy to access, and there's maybe a little bit of everything for any type of player who wants to join the game.
Do you feel the city has played a part in like your identity as an artist?
I think Los Angeles has definitely influenced me in more ways that I could count, just because I feel like living in LA, I've experienced more things and just seeing different cultures of everybody there. It's really broadened my horizons, and I feel like I wouldn't be as open-minded as I am now if LA wasn't the way LA is. But I think there's also this glamour element too, and I think I do love like showmanship in games, when the games are flashy and the games are really bright and like addicting to look at. So I think LA and that kind of aura of, oh, it's like flashing lights, big city, it's like kind of grimy but kind of fun, but it's kind of dangerous, but you know it's kind of safe. So it's a mix of all this fun stuff, and I think it really does want to make you not a performer. It makes you want to join the arts in a way to where like, okay, maybe I don't want to be on stage and see people, you know, acting or whatever. But I can make like a virtual environment where like anybody can be the actor. So I think LA has definitely played a part on myself.
What's your biggest goal as a game developer?
My biggest goal as a game developer now, considering I haven't really shipped a full game, I think would just be getting a game out there that I really loved playing, and literally just seeing like a handful of people enjoy playing it. Because I know with any art medium, it's subjective, so people are going to, everyone's not going to love it, everyone's, you know, probably not going to hate it. I think just having the feeling to where I made something that I had a lot of fun making, I showed it to people that I knew and they really loved playing it, but just getting it out there and seeing a couple people be like, wow, this game was so much fun, I had so much fun playing with my sibling, or, you know, it touched me in a way to where if it's like a narrative game where it's like I really love the story. But I think my biggest goal is just getting a game out there to people say, wow, that